Hi, everybody. I am Lori H. Schwartz, and I'm so happy to be here today to talk about the NAB Show 2024 and our fantastic show floor tour program. And today, in particular, we want to talk about our evolution of the TV and video landscape tour, led by the fabulous Tim Hanlon of the Vertere Group. And Tim has been doing tours with Storytech for many years. He is a serious pro and a joy to have. And you're going to learn so much about the show, NAB, what's happening in video. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, Lori, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want you to tell me all about your NAB history because I know you're a bit of a lifer. So we're heading into NAB Show 2024. What are you excited about?
Look, I look at NAB as sort of a kinder, gentler CES in that it's much more focused on the medium formerly known as television, right? And obviously, that is a whole wellspring of different ideations and iterations and tangents of streaming and data and personalization and video and audio and all those kinds of things. And having been in the advertising and media agency business in a previous life, right? Always the more tangible realm of what's likely to hit the industry than even more of the more futuristic CES. So, for example, I remember very vividly in the aughts, right, where data casting became sort of an idea and a concept as broadcasting's first transition to digital was underway. And now we're hearing, as an example, some of the same things again, data casting and all the other things that can come with the now on the launch pad second transition into digital from 1.0 to what is now known as ATSC 3.0. In some respects, this is a show where the themes are a bit more focused, a bit more close to tangibility, and are I think kind of put through their paces a little bit more into the reality check of things. And ATSC 3.0 is a really good example of one of those concepts that, although it's been talked about for years, is truly becoming more of a real thing and productized and all that kind of stuff. So excited about that as an example, but that's just scratching the surface.
What do you think? Because you're someone that has led tours at a variety of shows, but in particular at NAB, what is really the value of an NAB show floor tour and the targeting around TV and video? Why is it so important? Because you did a bunch of tours last year. What did you find people found the most rewarding about taking a show floor tour?
Look, I find that this show is much more concentrated in terms of professional needs, right? Because people come to this kind of show with more of a specific and focused idea of what they do and what they know they do and how it really affects and or interacts or potentially challenges or relates with other parts of the quote unquote industry, right? And by the industry, as Paul Schaefer would have said on the Letterman show, I mean the business, right? Uh, if you're an audio person, right? So understanding the latest things that are going on the video side and vice versa. If I'm in the television realm or I'm in the live production space, right? To know how my work that has been mostly focused on the big and increasingly higher definition screen works with or differently with, say, a streaming environment, which is maybe on a smaller device or has issues of latency attached to it, or potentially other capabilities like multiple camera angles and the ability to interact and customize or personalize what the feeds, plural, might look like. These are again, it's a sort of a way of saying that a lot of sort of functional expertise comes to this show looking to double down on what they know, hopefully learn all the latest things in what they know, but also, frankly, it gives them license to look at the layer or two beyond their expertise to understand the bigger picture that within the context of this business, right? CES a little different, right? That's an all things to all people kind of environment. This is much more focused on the business of television, video, audio, video, and all the economics that sort of come around with that. And that to me is what's exciting, because not only is it a smaller group of people, but it's a more intense the set of discussions, a more intent oriented um, series of tour stops, and again, it's much more close to what is likely to be real than the bigger ideas perhaps that might be floating around in places like CES, or God forbid, in the actual internet on all the social media sites.
um, I'm sorry. I always enjoy your reality
Oh,
checks
hey,
on all of this.
that's just a sample of the witticisms you'll find on this tour. So hopefully people will not find it boring and pedantic. We'll try to sort of keep it spicy and fun along the way. Because look, not all of these things are necessarily quote unquote real, or they certainly can be questioned, right? I mean, there are ideas that are on the show floor. Sometimes these are still concepts that are being floated as, are these legit? Are these possible? Is there a business model around this? So healthy conversations happen on these tours as well. Great conversations, sometimes relationships, and for me, client opportunities as well. But it's a very healthy environment to have very pointed conversations about, is this real? Is this going to happen this way? And Lord knows, even this week as we're recording this, lots of different things happening in the space right now that a lot of people have opinions about, and frankly don't have all the answers to, such as the sports bundle that ESPN and Fox and Turner slash Warner Brothers Discovery are going to launch next this fall. Uh, Discuss, right? I mean, we could have a whole conference just devoted to that.
Oh, that's so interesting. Well, what do you think? Are a lot of your tour attendees content creators, or is it a real mixture of folks that are trying to figure all of this out?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not quite sure sort of what the balance is, but I think certainly one of the dichotomies is content creators and professionals that are in the business of technically creating and delivering that content and that creative, right? So there's the ideation, right, of like what are the elements of what the story is and what the imagery might look like, and then there's the sort of technical realities of how to get those stories and images from point A to various points B and C and D, right? So an example, frankly, would be live sports, right? So live sports, um, there's a sort of a long-standing sort of evolution of sort of how that sort of business has evolved over time, and a lot of it's the clarity of the cameras and the flexibility of the technology and the sound that comes along with it, and the feeds and the management of all that stuff, the trucks and the logistics of all of that, the transfer, the cloud-based stuff, and editing, right? That's sort of classic stuff. But you translate that into the newer realities of how to get that programming, that game, that ancillary content now distributed and consumed in so many different ways, and in many cases simultaneously at that, right? So it's a
Yeah.
whole new manner by which not only how the content gets created, but frankly, the mechanics of how it gets distributed. And as I hinted at before, things like latency make a big difference, especially when, say, gambling or gaming is involved, right? When, if I'm watching on a screen in my hand, or I'm watching on a big screen on the wall, or something in between, if I'm doing a prop bet related to
Mm.
that game, I may be a little bit behind depending on which screen I'm using. And that's a real hairball issue that is open for conversation, discussion, and solving at a show like this, right? And that's just one of a myriad.
Of those solutions, yeah, and of the discussions that you have. Have you found that people are doing business on the tour? Are they connecting and finding similarities, and then wanting to do business together?
Yeah, there's no question the show like this is ripe for business relationships, and I think again it really kind of boils down to people's specific expertises being introduced to other areas of expertise that can either inform what they currently do today, or figure out how to partner into the broader scheme of things going forward. An example would be, going back to sports again. You look at how streaming can take and shape shift the live sports broadcast into a myriad of personalized and or customized and data fueled experiences that allow consumers to choose what feeds they'd like to choose from a handful of different audio expressions of what's going on in the match. Are there overlays that allow me to go deeper and maybe make a prop bet or conduct some commerce or those kinds of things, or chat or have a group sort of setup with my friends on the screen at the same time to trash talk, or not, right? Or anything in between. I want to lean back. I want to lean forward. That right there, just that transition alone is far different, right, than just getting the game covered with the clearest picture and the best sound. And look, there are a lot of potential partners, right, that have to start to commingle with each other if that transition is going to be what I just described. And I think we're kind of at the sort of the cutting edge right now of what these streams might look like for live sports. And by the way, that's just for all kinds of content, right? It's not just that lean back screen anymore. It's this very lean forward, smaller screen or lean forward kind of group activity where people want to be part of the action in their own way. And how do you super serve that without, frankly, pissing off the lean back crowd who just wants to watch the game? So that's exciting,
Yeah,
but it's also very challenging, and it takes a lot of people to kind of evolve that, and it can't be sort of done in one fell swoop from one particular expertise vantage point. That's where the relationships come into play.
Well, Tim Hanlon, Vertier Group, we love talking to you. I love that you give our tours on the show floor tour program. We are so excited for the evolution of the TV and video landscape at the NAB show 2024. And just to close it out, Tim, what are you the most excited about seeing on the show floor in April at the Las Vegas Convention Center?
I'm most excited to see how streaming technology is evolving to make the television experience more realistic and legitimate for younger audiences who truly want to consume in different ways than sitting back and watching on a giant screen. And I also want to see how content creators are finally recognizing that and what their plans are to make that happen, because television as we know it is no longer what it used to be. It is clearly going in a very digital and creatively personalized kind of direction. And the consumers are leading us that way, especially younger ones. I want to see if the industry gets that yet and what they're doing to meet those consumers as they demand.
Oh, dropping the wisdom once again, Tim Hanlon. And Tim, where can everybody find you, learn more about what you're up to, what you're doing? Where do you
Thank you.
post? Do you post?
I appreciate that. Yeah, so you'll see me on LinkedIn a lot, but the website is Vertere Group. That's V as in Victor, ERTERE, verteregroup.com. That's where all of our clients are. That's where all of our workings are. That's where all of our press and interviews are and all that kind of stuff. And occasionally a hot take or two on LinkedIn or Twitter/X. If you want to follow there too, we appreciate that.
I personally, I know from doing this with you for a couple of years now that when people come off of your tour, they are so happy because you have calmed them down and delivered insights and really laid out, the story that is on the show floor. So I am looking forward to seeing you in Las Vegas, April 2024 for the NAB show 2024, where you're going to really lay down the law about what's happening in video and the TV landscape. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Tim Hanlon, woo!
The excitement is palpable. I look forward to seeing you and everybody else there. Thanks a lot.